In the beginning of this unfolding drama, the land of Israel sits under the heavy shadow of Philistine oppression, a tension that breathes through every field, market, and quiet home, where whispers of fear travel faster than the wind. Into this atmosphere, God plants a miracle, an unexpected birth foretold by an angelic messenger to a barren woman, Samson's mother, who receives the divine word with trembling awe. She is told that her son will be a Nazirite, consecrated from the womb, set apart for God's purposes. Entire landscapes seem to bow before the prophecy, as though creation itself anticipates the weight of the child yet unborn. The scripture tells us that the Spirit of the Lord would begin to stir him even from youth, shaping him into a vessel of supernatural strength. And as he grows, Samson becomes a paradox, chosen yet flawed, powerful yet impulsive, divinely appointed yet dangerously driven by his own desires. It is in this tension that the story unfolds, a story where heavenly purpose collides with human weakness in ways both majestic and tragically revealing. As Samson grows into a man of immense size and unmatched strength, he bears not only the name of a deliverer, but the expectations of a nation. The Israelites place hope in him, as if he is the long-awaited thunder that will break the Philistine hold. Yet Samson, more often than not, is drawn by personal passions rather than strategic purpose. His first notable act of adult independence is not to gather warriors or challenge Philistine rule, but to fall in love with a Philistine woman from Timnah. His parents are alarmed, urging him to reconsider and choose a woman from among their own people. But Samson insists that she pleases him. What they cannot see, but God can, is that even Samson's flawed desires will ultimately push him toward fulfilling divine intention. The path is not straight, and the heart of Samson burns with emotions that cloud judgment. Yet God weaves through all of it, strengths and weaknesses alike. It is here the story begins to take its first dramatic turn, as Samson journeys toward Timnah, unaware that lions, betrayals, weddings, feasts, and fierce vengeance lie ahead. On the journey to Timnah, as Samson walks alone between vineyards glowing in the afternoon sun, a sudden roar tears through the stillness. A young lion leaps toward him, its muscles rippling, its claws slicing the air. But the Spirit of the Lord rushes upon Samson with a force that electrifies his very bones, filling him with supernatural might. Without a weapon, without hesitation, he tears the lion apart as though it were nothing more than a young goat. The scene is violent, surreal, charged with divine intensity. The dust settles, and Samson stands over the lifeless beast, his chest rising and falling with adrenaline. Yet he keeps the event secret, even from his parents. This is one of many signs of his isolation, a man chosen by God yet walking alone in his strength, not fully understood by those closest to him. The torn lion becomes a symbol of both victory and mystery, marking a moment when heaven's strength surged through earthly flesh in a display that foreshadows coming chaos and conflict. Soon after, Samson returns to the carcass and finds something unexpected, a swarm of bees and honey inside the lion's remains. He scoops the honey with his hands, savoring its sweetness, unaware that this moment will later play a role in the riddle that turns festivity into bloodshed. He brings some to his parents, but does not reveal the source. This omission is not merely casual, it hints at deeper aspects of Samson's personality. He is secretive, impulsive, often driven by instinct rather than wisdom. Yet there is also a symbolic resonance here, sweetness emerging from something dead, nourishment from decay, mystery born from strength. It is a parable before the riddle is even spoken, a foreshadowing of how Samson's story will unfold, full of contrasts between destruction and revelation, judgment and mercy, triumph and tragedy. By the time Samson arrives in Timnah to claim his bride, the honey is gone, but the symbolism remains, lingering like a sign ignored, a warning unheeded, a truth waiting to reveal itself in time. In Timnah, Samson prepares for his wedding with a feast described in Scripture as a drinking celebration typical of young men. His bride's family appoints 30 companions to attend him, Philistines who mingle with Samson, yet do not truly understand him. The atmosphere is loud, spirited, filled with music and laughter, yet beneath the surface lies an undercurrent of tension, suspicion, and cultural divide. Samson, feeling confident, perhaps overly so, presents a riddle to his companions. It is a challenge, a test of wit wrapped in mystery and pride. Out of the eater, something to eat; out of the strong, something sweet. They cannot solve it. Day after day they struggle, their frustration mounting until they resort to manipulation. They approach Samson's bride, pressuring her with threats and emotional intimidation. "Entice your husband to explain the riddle," they demand, "or we will burn you and your father's household with fire." In this moment, the story shifts from celebration to treachery, from festivity to fear. Samson, unaware of the pressure placed upon the woman he loves, stands on the edge of betrayal. The days pass, and Samson's bride weeps before him, clinging to him as though her life depends on it, for indeed it does. She pleads with him to reveal the riddle's answer, accusing him of not loving her, of keeping secrets from her, of choosing loyalty to others above loyalty to her. The emotional manipulation weighs on Samson. Her tears break down his resolve. Samson, a man who can tear lions apart with his bare hands, finds himself powerless before the persistent sorrow of a woman's cry. Eventually, he tells her the answer, and she, driven by fear more than malice, delivers it straight to the Philistines. On the seventh day, when they triumphantly answer the riddle, Samson immediately knows he has been betrayed. His anger burns like a wildfire. The trust he placed in her collapses. The wedding feast, once full of joyous anticipation, transforms into a scene of betrayal and bitterness. Samson's silence is not peaceful, it is dangerous, and what follows will mark the beginning of his vengeance. Driven by fury, Samson storms out from the feast and travels down to Ashkelon. There he strikes down 30 men, seizing their garments and presenting them to the companions who had cheated him. The message is unmistakable. The cost of deceit is blood, and Samson's wrath is a force not to be played with. But while he is away in his rage, another betrayal unfolds. Samson's bride is given to his companion by her father, who assumes that Samson's anger means he has abandoned her entirely. By the time Samson returns to Timnah, he discovers the painful truth. His bride, the woman he loved, the one he fought over, the one he sought despite cultural barriers, has been handed to someone else. Her father, attempting to justify his decision, offers Samson her younger sister instead, claiming she is more beautiful. But the insult is too great. Already wounded by betrayal from the feast, Samson now faces betrayal within his own marriage. His anger ignites into vengeance, fierce and unstoppable. Samson vows retaliation and sets into motion one of the most visually dramatic acts recorded in Scripture. He captures 300 foxes, an act requiring supernatural swiftness and cunning, and ties them together in pairs by their tails, attaching torches between them. Then he lights the torches and releases them into the fields of the Philistines. The fire spreads like a living creature, devouring grain, vineyards, and olive groves. Flames dance across the night sky, illuminating Samson's silhouette as he stands watching the destruction he unleashed. It is a symbolic act. Just as his heart burned with betrayal, he sets ablaze the very resources of his enemies. The Philistines, enraged, demand to know who is responsible, and upon learning the truth, they burn Samson's former wife and her father. The story spirals into tragedy, vengeance breeding more vengeance. And yet, in the middle of the flames and grief, Samson becomes even more determined. His life, shaped by divine calling, now becomes driven by personal vendetta, a dangerous combination that will shape the path ahead. The Philistines, furious and humiliated by the burning of their fields, launch an aggressive retaliation. Word spreads across the region like wildfire, instilling fear in every town and village. But Samson, who has grown accustomed to operating outside ordinary human limits, does not cower. His strength is no longer merely physical. It is a manifestation of divine favor, though intertwined with human anger. He moves through the countryside with a purpose that terrifies his enemies. Every encounter becomes a test of endurance, strategy, and raw power. Villagers watch in awe and fear as he tears apart animals, topples structures, and eludes capture. And yet, amid this chaos, there is an undercurrent of prophecy unfolding. God's purpose moves through Samson, even as his personal vendetta drives him. The story of Samson is never simple. It is a tapestry where divine orchestration and human emotion intertwine. In these moments of vengeance, the tension between obedience and impulse becomes palpable, leaving the audience to grapple with both awe and moral unease. Samson's next great encounter begins when he returns to his hometown, passing the Philistine city gates, where oppression festers like a disease. There, he notices a Philistine man approaching, unaware of Samson's presence. Without hesitation, Samson seizes the man, using the jawbone of a donkey, the simplest of tools yet transformed into an instrument of divine justice. The impact is catastrophic. Bodies fall like wheat before the scythe. The air is thick with dust, blood, and the iron scent of death. Villagers, hiding behind walls and windows, cannot comprehend the sheer ferocity of Samson's strength. Even as he exerts vengeance, Samson's actions are imbued with symbolism. The jawbone, a humble instrument, becomes the vehicle for executing divine power against injustice. The narrative illustrates that God often works through what appears weak or insignificant in human eyes. Samson's fury, while personal, is harnessed to accomplish what heaven had intended, to remind the oppressors of Israel that their reign is not unchallenged, and that even a single man, consecrated by God, can alter the course of history. As the jawbone saga reaches its violent climax, Samson's lips quiver not with pride, but with a cry of gratitude and reliance upon God. Even in vengeance, he acknowledges the divine source of his strength. He proclaims aloud, with the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps, with the jawbone of a donkey, I have slain 1,000 men. This declaration is not mere boast, it is a confession of dependence. The weight of human blood rests heavily on his conscience, yet he does not forget that the power flowing through him is not his own. This moment captures the paradox at the heart of Samson's life. His strength is immense, but it is inseparable from his vulnerability to temptation, emotion, and desire. In cinematic terms, the scene would linger on the grim aftermath. The bodies strewn across the sand, the quiet whisper of wind through bloodied fields, Samson's exhausted silhouette framed by a crimson sunset, blending awe-inspiring power with the haunting reminder of human cost. God's purpose unfolds, yet the cost is real, tangible, and morally complex. Time passes, and Samson's journey of vengeance continues to intersect with his own weakness. The story shifts to Gaza, a city fortified against Israelite intrusion. Samson, seeking both rest and passion, enters the city under the cover of night. His intentions are human, even reckless. He desires a Philistine woman he has seen, letting desire dictate action over reason. Guards attempt to trap him, but Samson, in his unparalleled strength, lifts the city gates and carries them to the top of a hill. The scene is cinematic in every sense. Moonlight glinting off iron hinges, dust swirling around his towering figure, the city's structures dwarfed by one man's might. It is an act that blends human recklessness with divine demonstration. God's hand is evident, even as Samson's heart is flawed. The Philistines watch in horror as their fortress is dismantled, yet the narrative foreshadows that power without discernment can never bring true fulfillment. Samson's path is marked by physical conquest, but emotional and spiritual vulnerability continues to define his journey. Samson's final act of vengeance, however, comes at the pinnacle of his tragic arc. Captured through deception by Delilah, a woman whose allure masks betrayal, Samson is stripped of his strength, bound and imprisoned by the Philistines. His eyes are gouged and he is forced into the humiliating labor of grinding grain in a prison pit, a stark contrast to his former glory. The Philistine lords mock him, celebrating his downfall as proof of their supremacy. Yet the story is not finished. In these moments of despair, Samson prays to God, acknowledging that his power is not his own and that he has turned away from the source of true strength. His prayer is desperate yet faithful, a recognition that human weakness must bow to divine will. The cinematic imagery here is stark. A blind man bent over a grinding stone, chains cutting into his wrists, the stench of confinement juxtaposed with the rising anticipation of divine intervention. The tension is unbearable, as viewers sense that God's purpose will not be thwarted. Delilah, whose name becomes synonymous with betrayal, presses Samson relentlessly, seeking the secret of his strength. Day after day, her coaxing and deceit wear him down. Each time Samson lies, prolonging both his safety and the suspense of narrative tension. Yet human desire, pride, and fatigue eventually overcome caution. He reveals that his strength lies in his uncut hair, a symbol of his Nazirite vow and covenant with God. The revelation is fatal. As Delilah calls the Philistines, they seize Samson while he sleeps, cutting his hair and draining the power that had once flowed through him. The betrayal is complete, a masterclass in manipulation, lust, and human fallibility. But it is also part of the divine plan. For God's purpose transcends Samson's momentary weakness. The story balances tragedy with hope, showing that even the gravest errors can be woven into a tapestry of redemption and ultimate divine justice. It is a cinematic study in tension, emotion, and spiritual consequence. The Philistines, celebrating their victory, parade Samson through the temple of Dagon, mocking his former might. The temple is crowded, the walls vibrating with the chorus of Philistine revelry, and the ground shudders with the anticipation of spectacle. Samson, blind yet alive with renewed spiritual insight, senses an opportunity to fulfill his destiny. He prays fervently, asking God to restore his strength one last time so that vengeance can be exacted. The architecture of the temple, with its towering pillars and crowded balconies, sets the stage for one of the most dramatic moments in biblical narrative. Every viewer feels the tension, the impossible weight of expectation against the fragile vessel of human flesh. The Spirit of the Lord once again descends upon Samson, a surge of divine power bridging human weakness and heavenly purpose. It is the culmination of his journey, the moment where faith, desperation, and divine providence converge in an act of judgment that will reverberate through history. With a final thunderous exertion, Samson pushes against the central pillars of the temple. His arms, rippling with the restored strength of God, bear the weight of destiny itself. Slowly, the massive structure shudders. Dust falls from the ceiling. The walls groan. The crowd panics. Chaos erupts as the temple begins to collapse, trapping nobles, priests, and revelers alike. In this climactic moment, Samson fulfills his vow of vengeance against the Philistines who humiliated him, destroyed his people, and mocked his God. The scene is both terrifying and majestic. Fire and dust cloud the air, the ground trembles beneath every footfall, and the air vibrates with the cries of the fallen. It is not merely an act of personal revenge, it is a divine execution, a final statement that God's purpose cannot be thwarted, even through human weakness. The story achieves a crescendo, blending awe-inspiring power, tragedy, and redemption in one unforgettable tableau. When the dust settles and silence blankets the ruins, Samson lies among the fallen, his final breath a testament to the intricate interplay of divine calling and human frailty. Though blind, betrayed, and imprisoned, he dies accomplishing what only God could orchestrate through him. His life is a paradox, a vessel of supernatural strength, yet repeatedly ensnared by human desire, a man chosen to deliver Israel, yet deeply flawed in his judgment. The Israelites mourn him, recognizing both the cost of sin and the reach of divine justice. In cinematic terms, the camera would linger on his figure, silhouetted against the sunrise, a man both human and heroic, broken and consecrated, whose story reverberates across centuries. Samson's vengeance serves as a cautionary tale and a spiritual lesson. Divine purpose is often realized through imperfect vessels, and human emotion, desire, and betrayal do not nullify God's ultimate plan. It is a story that speaks to the raw, messy, and beautiful reality of life under God's guidance. In the aftermath of Samson's final act, the land of Israel is left in awestruck silence. The Philistine oppression, though brutal, is struck with a divine reckoning that resonates far beyond the rubble-strewn temple. The Israelites, long shackled by fear, now glimpse the hand of God moving through a flawed, impulsive, and intensely human deliverer. Villagers whisper his name with a mixture of reverence and sorrow, acknowledging that a man can be both hero and cautionary tale. Even in death, Samson's legacy is a living sermon. Strength without obedience can lead to destruction, yet surrender to God, even in our weakest moment, can bring about justice and fulfillment beyond human expectation. Cinematically, the scene is painted with long shots of devastated temples, the sun piercing the dust-filled sky, and the somber faces of people who both mourn and marvel at the enormity of what has transpired. The land itself seems to breathe in recognition of God's sovereignty and the cost of human fallibility. The narrative turns to introspection, exploring the complex dynamics that define Samson's life. Betrayal, lust, pride, and impulsive action all intertwine with divine purpose. Delilah, the woman whose charm and cunning catalyzed his downfall, becomes both a symbol of temptation and a narrative device through which God's plan is revealed. The Philistines' mocking laughter, the chains, the grinding stone, and the temple's pillars all serve as visual metaphors for human weakness tested and transformed by God's intervention. Samson's story, though violent and tragic, is layered with spiritual truth. God often works through imperfect vessels, and divine purpose is not nullified by human error. In this way, the story challenges viewers to see beyond surface-level betrayal or success, prompting reflection on how faith, obedience, and spiritual discernment shape outcomes in ways that defy purely human understanding. The narrative emphasizes that God's justice, patience, and providence can manifest even through pain and suffering. Samson's life also highlights the danger of unchecked passion. From the Timnah wedding to the Gaza episode, his choices reveal how desire and impulsive emotions can derail even the divinely chosen. Each encounter with women in his story carries profound spiritual and moral significance. The sweetness of the lion's honey, the deceit of Delilah, and the betrayal of his Timnah bride all reflect the intricate ways God's purposes intersect with human relationships. The narrative cautions viewers to examine their own desires and motives, illustrating that the heart, when misaligned with divine wisdom, can be a source of peril. Yet Samson's story also affirms redemption. Even in the depth of weakness, prayer and dependence on God can restore strength and enable the fulfillment of destiny. Cinematic imagery here focuses on the interplay of light and shadow, the tension of desire against divine guidance, human emotion against heavenly purpose, creating a visual metaphor that enriches the spiritual lesson. In reflecting upon Samson's vengeance, it becomes clear that God's warning about women is not a condemnation of femininity, but a lesson in discernment, obedience, and understanding the spiritual dimension of relationships. The women in Samson's life, whether Philistine or Israelite, serve as instruments through which testing, temptation, and revelation occur. his story teaches that vulnerability in emotional matters can have far-reaching consequences, especially when coupled with extraordinary gifts or responsibilities. It is a narrative warning and a spiritual guide. Divine strength requires disciplined wisdom. Viewers are invited to witness not only the catastrophic consequences of betrayal, but also the extraordinary power that comes when a man or woman aligns fully with God's purpose. Cinematically, the narrative alternates between quiet, intimate moments and grand displays of power, emphasizing that the spiritual and the physical are intertwined, and that vigilance in both realms is necessary for righteous fulfillment. Samson's final prayer, uttered before toppling the temple pillars, is a climax of human humility and divine trust. Here, in blindness and chains, he surrenders fully to God, acknowledging that his life, strength, and vengeance are tools in the hands of the Almighty. The cinematic portrayal is striking. His arms brace against the massive columns, the temple trembling, dust and stone cascading in slow motion, while Samson whispers a prayer that blends despair, hope, and faith. This moment serves as a theological pivot. It is proof that ultimate deliverance and justice are not dependent on human perfection, but on divine orchestration through those who, even in weakness, call upon God. The moral weight is profound. True strength emerges not from human muscle alone, but from surrender, obedience, and alignment with God's will. The audience experiences tension, awe, and spiritual clarity simultaneously, witnessing the power of faith manifested through flawed humanity. When the temple collapses and the Philistines perish, Samson dies fulfilling both human vengeance and divine justice. The scene, though violent, is imbued with solemnity. The ruins of the temple echo like a sacred drumbeat, and the light of dawn highlights the aftermath of judgment. Israel, though mourning, sees in Samson's life the fulfillment of God's promise to deliver his people. The duality of the narrative, heroic yet tragic, violent yet redemptive, offers a timeless lesson. God's purposes transcend human error, and divine justice often works through extraordinary circumstances. Samson's life story becomes a meditation on the complexity of human strength, the dangers of emotional impulsiveness, and the majesty of God's sovereignty. Cinematically, the long, lingering shots of debris, mourners, and the rising sun create an atmosphere of reverence, awe, and reflection, leaving viewers both awed and contemplative. Ultimately, the story of Samson is a warning and a beacon. It warns against unbridled desire, impulsive action, and misplaced trust, especially in matters of the heart. Yet it also illuminates the extraordinary ways in which God's purpose can be accomplished despite human weakness, betrayal, and failure. Samson, though deeply flawed, becomes a conduit for divine justice, a reminder that God's strength can flow through imperfect vessels to accomplish what seems impossible. The narrative blends the cinematic and the spiritual, sweeping landscapes, dramatic battles, intimate betrayals, and the quiet moments of prayer all work together to convey a story that is as emotionally engaging as it is spiritually instructive. Through Samson's life, the audience learns that true power is inseparable from humility, and that divine purpose will ultimately prevail, even when human choices seem chaotic, impulsive, or flawed. As the echoes of Samson's vengeance fade into history, the story leaves a lasting impression. God's warnings are not mere prohibitions but divine wisdom meant to guide, protect, and teach. Samson's life, marked by both extraordinary strength and profound human error, illustrates the delicate balance between passion and purpose, desire and obedience, betrayal and faith. Cinematically, the final scenes linger on Israel rising from oppression, the land scarred but renewed, and the memory of one man who, despite his flaws, fulfilled the divine mandate. This is why God warns us. Strength, when paired with temptation and unchecked desire, can lead to destruction, Yet when surrendered to divine purpose, it becomes a force for justice, redemption, and awe-inspiring power. The story concludes, leaving viewers with a solemn sense of wonder, reverence, and reflection on how divine purpose works through human imperfection, and how even the gravest mistakes can serve the greater plan of God.